Greetings, Elder Blacklight. Final video for the day. I'm probably making too many of them, and give you a time to catch up on where I'm coming from. And I'm usually a little bit ahead of. I'll usually be ahead, but I got to be on time instead of ahead. I've been coming on YouTube for a minute, and I'm appreciative to the amount of subscribers I got. And I don't talk back, I don't answer my comments, whatever. I'm just giving you the benefit of my experiences. And when something repeats itself over and over again, but sometimes it disguises itself, but it's still the same thing, but it may be then added a little something or took away a little something, but basically the root of it is the same thing. You can see the pattern, just like in music. Music is like a pattern. You know, uh, you can play chords in a pattern, but you can change a note here and there and make it sound maybe more fuller or give it a different flavor. But you're playing that rhythm or that pattern over and over again. So you can kind of like predict. Uh, you can kind of like predict what's gonna go down next. Well, when you've been living for 7 decades and you pay attention or you're very observant and you listen and you look, you can see where they're going with something. You can kind of like predict. And sometimes they call these minor prophets. They minor prophets because they study the pattern of something, of a system or people, whatever. But you're somewhat of a scientist too, because the word science only means the knowledge of a particular subject. And so I've done this. And by me being born in the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us, that this was coming, this day was coming. And you didn't know how it was going to look, though. We didn't know how it was going to look. And now that it's come, have we been storing food? Because he told my mother and them when I was a baby, uh, we used to go up to a spot up in northern Michigan to get mineral water. This water was full of iron and, it was the best water you could drink, alkaline, alkaline water. And we would go up there. I was a little boy, man, like 5 or something. And my uncle, he would go to Eastern Market. Everything was fresh. He bought fresh, and he ate holistically. And so now, as time went on, they started dumbing down the educational system, and uh, then the Nation of Islam uh, really disbanded in 75 or 76, and they watered that down, and so that purity is not there no more. Purity is like another word for holiness. And the holiness is not there. So y'all young brothers just, coming up, y'all got agendas, and y'all done become addicted to material things, addicted to that dollar. And you think you need a dollar or some kind of finance to make your world turn or to eat. So the creator, through this coronavirus and things, you either gonna have to bow down to the creator. When I say creator, what's natural, what's organic, uh, what's already here, like the fruit trees grow naturally and organically. There's no chemical spraying on them or no altering the genetics of that apple tree or pear tree or whatever, or tomato or vegetables, whatever's in the ground. There's no altering. It grows natural, organically. And for years, we ate like this. Now see if this makes sense to you. Someone comes, now, this is your culture. You grow food. You may not have no electricity. You know. Uh, your water you get, you know how to purify your water. They've been knowing how to purify water for centuries. Uh, so everything is, kind of natural, just like the Amish. The Amish people, they live kind of natural. They don't use modern technology or conveniences. They do things the old-fashioned way. You know. Now things might get to that point where the Amish might be on time, the way they living, and there's certain other communities within the United States that live organically and off the grid, as they say. And uh, now they even can harness the sun through solar panels and whatnot. They got other kind of ways to make pure water now. They could make water. They got a machine now that could make water out of thin air and it'd be pure. So uh, man uses his mind to enhance his living conditions without living on the grid. He can grow food differently now. He can grow food in water. All kind of ways to grow food now. Just like Gaddafi, he was living in the desert, but he found a way to get water in the desert. Now he didn't charge no money for medicine and health treatment, hospitals. You know, he paid for it, and his people had a slice of the oil, and a slice of the revenue from the oil. He nationalized it, and the United States got mad, went over there, and took him out, and tried to make you hate him. Well, just like China. China didn't go along with them, so they want China to be hated now. So the black man, when the black man first was slaves, it was a propaganda and the slurring of the black man. So I'm trying to ask y'all, what do seem natural? Should you, if you can get out of this type of system, would you get out of it? Would you continue to stay in it? You know, and we ain't got to go nowhere to separate. All we got to do is don't participate. Just don't participate. That's all. Don't vote, you know. And, you know, if it's enough of you and you unified, you one unified front, they can't do nothing about it. You know. You see? You ain't got to go to do no marching or nothing. You ain't got to rally around the flag or nothing. All you got to do is just don't do, but it's got to be a united effort. But how many people are scared to not to don't do? Too many. So the Creator is going to make it where you are forced to either do for self or die. Because this man, what he got planned for you is going to be death to you and your future generations. I know you don't believe it, but take it or leave it. Just study the history. Study the patterns. Study the patterns. When I was coming up, there used to be a gang that called the Shakers, and they used to shake you down every time you go to the store for your mama. So we got together, the ones that they were shaking down, we formed a little gang of our own. And we go to the store. On my way to the store, I stopped by so-and-so's house. Come on, man, let's go to the store. And by the time we get to the store, it'll be about maybe 5 of us, 10 of us. And we ready to fight. You know, they try to shake us down, we fight back. That's how you got to do, man. This is Black Light.